This is a members only event for SHIFCO. And before I introduce our guest expert, who's one of our partners, I want to just talk a little bit about why we're doing this event. It's really part of our strategic partner program. So SHIFCO, which has been officially a business now for 7 months, we soft launched about a year ago. We launched a partner program. We have 6 partners, and strategic partners are really important to us for a couple of reasons. One is we want to partner with people that are already a conscious brand. Secondly, we want to bring our members access to these partners. And the partners that we've, Sounds True is our first partner. You're probably familiar with them. ResultsResourcing, who will be doing this, Elizabeth Eiss, who's the CEO of that, will be doing today's session. And then we had Slice, Mindful Market, and Borrow Team. And then we just did a partnership with Gratitude Journal 365. In all of these cases, we really identified partners who would bring real tools and resources to members at the business phase that you're at. And how we select the members is there's really 3 things that we look for. One is shared ethos, that we operate our businesses in a similar way, even though we're in different industries. Second is that our partners really understand that we grow authentically, and we don't want, hard sells or anything like that. It's not that type of program. It's not like when you join AAA and you get all of these direct mails from all these companies that are affiliated with AAA. It's not like that. We're very selective with the partnerships. We really want it to be something our members will use. And the other thing most people don't realize is SHIFCO gets 0 financial incentive from the partners. What we do is we pass that incentive on to members. So we are not compensated in any way from our partners. What we ask them to do is to give our members that discount. So that is really unique when it comes to a partnership program. Now, why results resourcing? Well, I have to put it into phase of your businesses. Most of you know and are familiar with the Conscious Business Growth Platform and the various phases. What you might not realize is in each of these phases, there are different ways and different times that you'll need freelance resources. Today, I'm going to be talking predominantly about launch and shape, but for those members that are in Build, Evolve, Grow, and Scale, that you use freelance resources very differently in those other categories. So let's talk about launch and shape and take a look at the map and the pathway system. If you're in the launch phase, which means your business is under 10K a month, if I put the different pathways up here, you guys are familiar with all of these pathways as you move your business forward. But what you might not realize is there's 3 substreams in the launch pathway. In the 0 to 3K a month is stream 1. We don't recommend that you outsource anything in that space because you really don't have enough revenue yet. Secondly, you don't really know enough about your business. And frequently if somebody outsources something too quickly, I'll say accounting. If you outsource accounting before you really understand how your business makes money, that can really get you into trouble because you can get somebody who sets up your financials and it really doesn't work for the business. If you outsource social media when your business is that small, you don't really know what you should be posting on social media. So we don't advocate that you outsource until your business gets in this next level. Now you'll notice it's not that I don't know math and I don't know that 2K is less than 3K. I totally get that. But sometimes the problems I'm going to describe show up in this middle stream here. In this middle stream is you're starting to build some momentum. You're getting demand. You're rethinking differentiation. You're probably starting to think about what legal structure you should have. Now's a great time that you should be outsourcing your financials in this middle stream. This is a really difficult stream because you're in this get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And in order for you to get off the treadmill, and it feels very much like a treadmill in this middle category, this is one of the best times that you can hire a freelancer to take some of that work off your plate. And Elizabeth will talk a little bit more about what types of things should come off your plate in this category. Same with the far right. When you're starting to really scale and you're getting to the next level in this third stream, that's a great time. If you haven't outsourced in the second stream, that's a great time to outsource as well. So that's the launch area. The middle category, great time to outsource so that you can get things off your plate and focus on the work that's high value and focus on demand generation. And then certainly on the far right, you should definitely be outsourcing. In shape, you definitely should be outsourcing in the shape phase. Shape is when your business is 10 to 30,000 a month. We want all of our members to go from launch to shape within 12 to 18 months of joining ShiftCo. So we want your business above $10,000 a month within 12 to 18 months of joining ShiftCo. Why? Well, it's a lot easier to run the business, believe it or not. A $10,000 a month business has more resources. It's easier to run because you can outsource more. Secondly, is if you continue to really grow the business in the shape phase, you can become financially free. You don't have to build a multi-million-dollar business. So definitely in the shape phase, there are 6 different pathways in part 1 of shape. And then there are 8 different pathways in part 2 of shape. So if for sure in shape. So that just gives you a little bit of background on knowing where you are. If you're in launch, you're going to be in one of these areas. When should I outsource? That's a good indication. And if you're in shape, you definitely, if you haven't already started outsourcing, you definitely should, because you'll really contract and hold yourself back. All right. So Elizabeth, I am going to pass it over to you.
All right.
And Elizabeth is one of the founding investors of ShiftCo. She is our board secretary. She's a tremendous friend. We're, 2 peas in the pod in a lot of ways. She's got a brilliant business and a brilliant business model. I love working with her. Elizabeth, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Eiss, and I'll just say I'm kind of the queen of outsourcing. I have always loved the idea of how do you get more done, so you can really, achieve your impact. And I've been a big believer in kind of cloning yourself by surrounding yourself with great talent. And that's really what I've ended up specializing about. So today's session is about scaling your impact. And to do that, it's how to hire a freelancer, depending on what stage you're in. So just briefly about me, I am at this point a serial entrepreneur, and I started ResultsResourcing about 6 years ago after doing a lot of freelance hiring myself. And I got really good, kind of a power user on a number of very common platforms like Upwork, and there's countless of them. I got very good at doing that, and my clients started to ask me, oh, can you find me a Terri? She's great, but she's on your team, so how can I get somebody like Terri? And so I got really good at finding Terris or whoever is appropriate for a given client. And then I, being a technology-oriented person and a systemizer, I decided that the big gap was there wasn't a technology that helped a small and mid-sized business find great freelancers. And so that's really what I ended up doing. And we'll talk a little bit more about my platform in a minute. But what I'd really like to do is just tell you more broadly about why scaling is important. And these are really the themes today. Is really, I do believe freelance talent is the key to growth. And I'm going to talk to you more about different strategies you can use to outsource roles and how to think about when it's appropriate and what roles to outsource. Then, I'm going to talk a little bit about the common mistakes, and then what are the things to do really to leverage freelancers to your benefit. And then lastly, how do you hire the best freelancers? Because there's a kind of an art and science to all of this. So Terri, ready for the next slide? So I really want to start with something basic, and it's just called the value of your time. And so if you would, just grab a piece of paper and a pen and just jot a number down. How much is an hour of your time worth? So that's just question number 1. You don't have to share this, but just do this for yourself. And then the second question is how many hours a week do you work? So do you work 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, whatever it is, and doesn't matter whether it's a weekday or weekend. Just, think about how much time you spend working on your business. And then the next thing I want you to do is do some simple math. Multiply 1 times 2. And that's really the cost of the time that you invest every week in your business. And it doesn't matter what that number is, but you need to ultimately think about how you spend your time in terms of the dollars you're spending, because anything you do for your business is actually costing you your time. And are you spending it well? So with that, let's move to the next slide and talk about, how do you spend your finite time? Because there's only so many hours in the day. And so what I like to think about is, in deciding how to spend your time, what work will your client pay for? I mean, that to me is the fundamental question. And so when you think about the time you spend each week, how many hours per week do you spend on the work that your client is actually going to pay you for? And then that's really, that is the amount of money you're investing in your own time to grow your business with the work clients will pay for. And then on the flip side of that, what work, which is what I call support work, will your client not pay you for? They're not going to pay you to do an invoice or to post a social media post, or to do, unless you're in the creative area, you're not going to graphic design or build an email campaign. That's not stuff clients are going to pay for. So to me, it's a really easy way to separate, how you make decisions about how you spend your time. So for the work that time you spend on your support work, same drill. How many hours per week? And what is the cost of time? What's the amount of time you're investing in the support work that your clients are not going to pay for? Doesn't mean it's not really important. Get your message out there. But, fundamentally, you have to come to grips with what work will your client pay for. And that's really, if you'll hit the next button, Terry, that's the high ROI work. And that's really where you should be focusing your time. And then the support work is low ROI time. And those are really the 2 buckets you need to be thinking about, as you're deciding to spend your time. And so in addition to the actual cost of time you spend, there's actually a second cost, and that is the opportunity cost. So every minute you spend doing something that's not something your client's going to pay for, that is the opportunity cost, because you could be spending on something that the client will pay for. And if you'll click the button, Terry, there's an image that'll come up, because I think of it kind of as an attenuator. There's no right answer, but it's a dial. Sometimes, especially in the earlier stages of your business and you're experimenting, maybe you need to spend some time on that non-core work to learn. But at the end of the day, you want to be dialing up the time you spend on high ROI work, because that's what the clients are going to pay for. That's what demonstrates your value. And that's what's going to help you grow, not only your business, but your impact, which is what all of us here at ShiftGo are about. We want to have successful businesses, but we really want to have impact in the world.
And I want to talk a little bit about opportunity costs, because it's a business term that is well known in business circles that entrepreneurs forget about. And opportunity cost is the biggest eroder of success. It's what really sets your business back, because you get into this, get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. And you never really get off of that treadmill, and that treadmill will wear you out. Get the work, do the work, get the work, do the work. But once your business gets into that second inflection point in launch, or certainly in shape, what you really want to begin to do, and it's going to be a great segue to what Elizabeth is going to be talking about next, is how do I know what to outsource in addition to when? But that opportunity cost allows you, by outsourcing the work that is not high value, that your clients are not going to pay you for, you get to actually start working ahead. You can put more time into your demand generation. You can put more time into improving your product or your program. That opportunity cost is really where I believe most businesses fail. And I think that's a good setup for your next point, which is what is the strategy to outsource roles?
Absolutely. And if you advance the slide, to me, it's all about do or delegate. And it comes back to what are core roles and non-core roles. And so what I've always loved this quote by Peter Drucker, who was kind of one of the leading management thinkers, and this was 6 decades ago. He said this: do what you do best and outsource the rest, because that gets at the opportunity cost issue. If you're doing stuff you're not the best at, then you're spending your time on something that someone else could do for you, that it's their best. And so I like to think about these two charts. Again, the core work is what the client will pay you for. The non-core is low ROI, even if it's essential, but the client's not going to pay for it. So you've got to think differently about how that work gets done. And so the next slide really gets specific. What should you do? What should you delegate? And every business is going to be different. As I said before, a creative business versus, say, a retail business is what they decide is core and non-core might be a little different, but these are really good examples. Everything that's under core work requires brain power. It has something to do with the client value delivery. And you're innovating, you're thinking newly about process, product, your position in the market. Maybe you're creating a partnership or developing a new marketing strategy or social media content strategy. All those things are around what you know best and you're expert at, and how do you think about rolling out that impact in a way that's going to bring you more clients, and clients are going to want to buy more from you. And that's really how to think about this core work. Non-core work is everything else. It's client support, back-end administrative stuff, email management, CRM, the list goes on. It gets, again, if you're a creative business, maybe you're in the business of social media and content writing, but most businesses aren't. Those are things that can be outsourced to, a member of SHIFCO or to some that's expert at it. Again, do what you do best and outsource the rest. And so this is really a framework for thinking. And then once you think about the different things, I'm really a big advocate of thinking about delegating in terms of, well, should it go to an employee or should it go to a freelancer? And to me, the equation is a nimble team. I think it's a combination, a plus. And this is valuable for a business of almost any size. Because if you think about a nimble team, if you click the slide, Terry, it's a blended team is really what you're after. The blended team is going to be a steady core group of people that get your value proposition, but then you're augmenting with the skills that you need as you need them. But you can scale up and down because you probably don't need them 40 hours a week. And a lot of times that's around content development or admin work. And that really optimizes your capital and, frankly, your time. And so when to hire an employee? Well, it tends to be whether it's a core value role, something that's really closely interfacing with a client, it's full time. You need to really control that work, manage it closely. And maybe it's proprietary. Like I've got proprietary technology. I'm very careful about, when I outsource work on my technology platform because it's proprietary. And when would you hire a freelancer? All the opposite situations. When it's a non-core support role, it's not full-time, so why pay 40 hours a week for something that you need for 15 hours a week? It requires some specialized expertise, but expertise that you don't need full-time. Or it's a need that goes up and down. You got a lot of flexibility, but still able to hire really terrific, highly skilled, specialized freelancers that can fill in those gaps and be part of your blended team. If you think about it strategically, that employees and freelancers together are a nimble team that are going to help you grow your business and grow your impact. And so in terms of being agile, like what kind of talent do you need? Honestly, there is a freelancer for that. And so I've got 4 blocks on this slide, and it really depends on whether you're trying to build your market awareness, you're trying to serve more customers, expand your operations team, even an operations team of 1 or 2, or just scaling your business. And these are just examples of freelance requests we see all the time that are going to help people expand their businesses. And each one says and more, because honestly, what kind of talent do you need? There's a freelancer for that. And there's a really increasing trend, and frankly, I see it in the demographics of ShiftGo, where there's just tons of people going to do what they love. They're expert at that. And that's a perfect contract opportunity to outsource to a Cisco, a ShiftGo partner, or if that doesn't exist in ShiftGo, then there's other places to get that freelance talent. And so we're going to talk more about, really the next slide and the next agenda item is how do you go about, hiring the freelance talent. So next slide, Terri, unless you have something to share.
Yeah, before we do that, so one is the talent strategy of what should be an employee and what is a freelancer: core non-support, not full-time, specialized expertise, fluctuating need. That's really key. And the combination of that is how you scale, quite honestly. Secondly is, there's a freelancer for just about everything. In addition to hiring freelancers through results resourcing, can our members put their services on your platform and receive business from it?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one of the hallmarks of our business is we find, vet, and frankly guarantee talent matches for our clients. So we're a combination of technology platform and a staffing agency. So real humans get involved. And so I care a lot about the quality of the freelancers that are on our platform. They're not widgets to me. And so I trust ShiftGo. So anyone that freelances that wants to be on the platform, I would be delighted.
And I know we'll talk about that in a minute, but I just wanted people to dial in, because you might see your services on this list and go, hey, wait a minute, how do I do that? And we wanted to let you know that the partnership is both for finding clients, but also putting your services on the platform, which is a good segue to, common freelance hiring mistakes. Whether you're the talent or you're looking for the talent, what would you have to advise our members on that?
Yeah, and I think if you'll just move to the next slide. So this is a real email that somebody sent to me, and I'm just going to talk to you while you digest it, but it has almost every hiring mistake in it. And this is what a lot of people think they should do. It's like they make the decision that they want to get, this happens to be a virtual assistant, but it could be a lot of other things like, a WordPress website or whatever it might be. And it's like they send an email out to all their friends and say, hey, this is what I need. And they haven't really thought deeply about what they need. They just, I need a VA. And in this particular case, this person sent one email out a couple of weeks ago, then contacted all the people themselves, spent all this opportunity cost time contacting VAs. None of them fit. And this person came to the realization, that maybe VAs have different areas of specialization. So now she's dialing in on what she needs, and she's coming back to that same group of people saying, not only do I want you to go mine your resources again to give me more leads, but these are explicitly the 5 things that I want them to be able to do. And it's like, it's another fishing expedition, because the people she's writing to aren't expert at freelance hiring, and maybe don't even really understand her business. And it's like, is it really fair, to send out this kind of an email to your friends saying, hey, send me freelancers so I can spend my time looking for them? So there's just a lot of mistakes here. And then she's also saying, there's lots of vagabonds in the VA world. And so that bothers me a little too, because it's like, people aren't vagabonds because they don't meet your needs. It just hasn't been a good matching process, and it's also true that VAs can be very creative or they can be very administrative. It doesn't make them bad or good. They just aren't necessarily a good match. And so I wanted to share this because you've probably all gotten these, and it shows lack of respect for your time. And it really shows how you go down the wrong path. So let me just move ahead into what are the top 10 hiring mistakes. And we've all made them, including me, which is one of the reasons I got to what I'm doing today. You don't have realistic expectations. You're doing it yourself, which is, a choice you're making to spend your time on something that probably isn't core to your business unless you're in recruiting. You maybe haven't spent time to really get clear on the job description. And if you're not clear, I guarantee you the freelancer won't do a good job because they won't be clear because you're not clear. And that is closely aligned with having very clear expectations. What are the results that you want? What are the milestones? What time? Whatever it might be. Job description and clear expectations are key. And then you really shouldn't look at freelancers as widgets. They're not interchangeable. They're highly skilled people. Any of you on this call that contract work would not consider yourself a widget. You're very specialized in your expertise. And so looking at other freelancers as widgets, sets yourself up for failure because you're either have low expectations, or you're not really thinking about your needs and finding the right match. The next two, 6 and 7, are really kind of related, but buying solely on price. Now I get everyone's budget's tight, your finite resources, time and money. But if you focus on price, you get what you don't pay for. And that really relates to number 7, which is if you're focused on the hourly rate, rather than the total cost to produce whatever value you're trying to get from this outsourced engagement, that can be a mistake too, because sometimes paying a little bit more for somebody per hour is going to actually take less time and cost you less because you get somebody experienced with a good head, responsible, a lot of good characteristics. So it's really thinking differently about what value do you want and what is it worth to you, and not so much buying on price. Again, recognizing money is important, but it's like that can really lead you down a path that gets you in trouble. And then once you do hire somebody, it's really important to have regular communications. Again, that goes back to the job description and expectations. Manage the freelancer and then integrate them into your team, because the freelancer can help in a virtual world and can support, and be a really high contributing part of the team, even if they're not full-time. And then the last thing is, because of 1 through 9, I see a lot of people blaming the freelancer, when really the freelancer just was not set up for success, nor was the person hiring the freelancer. So thinking about this list really leads me to the next slide, which is really going to be talking about, how do you successfully hire a freelancer? And the first is really outsourcing recruiting. And, I know that's a bit self-serving, but I do that with, the utmost authenticity. I mean, there's real expertise in recruiting. And then the second is really, how do you manage the work? Those are the 2 key things. And of course, I have a short list of each thing. So from a hiring perspective, again, going back to the initial message, you need to focus on your high ROI work, which is probably not hiring. And, by outsourcing recruiting, you will reduce the opportunity cost of you trying to hire when you don't have all the tools and the expertise. And you can benefit from people who do hire for a living because we're expert at it. We also have access to higher quality talent, and it's not a crapshoot. We have a brand around hiring that hire and freelancers respect, because they know that we've got their success in mind as well as yours. It reduces your hiring risk. And frankly, you can offload the contractor hiring administration to people that do it for a living. And then once you hire somebody, again, whether you do it with someone who's an expert at recruiting or you do it yourself, these are really the key work components. Plan. And that starts with having clear expectations and a clear job description. And then communicating regularly in writing, because writing forces you to be clear about what you need. And then you've got a record of what was requested versus what got delivered. Embracing the freelancer into your team and really focusing on the results. Less micromanagement of what's happening day to day and more focusing on the deliverables is really going to translate into success. And as I mentioned before, just one more second, Terry, just focusing on the total cost of delivery versus the price per hour, and then always thinking about or including the cost of your time to manage work, because it is going to take you time that the client's not going to pay you for.
Can you explain what the total cost of delivery is? Because I don't think a lot of people really grasp that important nuance.
Okay. Well, I would say that if your objective is to get a blog article written and you're not the greatest writer, then that's me, then I don't really want to think about, either the cost per word or the cost per hour that I spend a writer. I really want to say to that writer, I need an article written about X, and I'm willing to spend $500 for that article. And I'm focused on what the value of that article is going to be to me. And I don't want to be thinking about how many words it is or how many hours that person spends. But then we come to grips with that writer is expert in writing about my topic, and that writer says, yeah, I can write you a great article on that for $500. Then that's focused on the total cost of that delivery, and I'm not micromanaging it. I'm just saying, here's what I need, and I think you've got the expertise, and we agree that that's going to be the value there. Does that make sense, Terri?
Totally.
Cool. Okay, well, the last part of our talk is really going to be about how to hire the best freelancers, and I want to start with just what the talent market looks like. And you all may see this already, but if we go to the next slide, the talent market is online. And in fact, there's been study after study that really traditional jobs are going away. And before the end of this decade, the vast majority of jobs in the United States and globally are going to be virtual jobs, and they're going to be freelance jobs. So traditional employment is going, the trend is just due south, trajectory, and the freelance trajectory is rising. And that frankly, by a recent study said that by 2035, the vast majority of people will hire people and get jobs through technology, online platforms. So traditional recruiting is changing. And so the talent market is online, and as you can see from the diagram, it's simple. It's organizations on one side, workers on the other, and there's technology platforms in between. And on the right, it just shows that this is true. You've seen examples of this already today. People find jobs and people through company websites, job boards, freelance platforms, networking platforms, search engines. That's really where it's going. And so the more skilled you get at marketing your job needs and finding job through talent platforms, the more successful you're going to be. But that's a harder task than you think, because literally there are 300, 400 talent platforms out there, from the big, monster.com, Indeed, LinkedIn, all those kinds of platforms, Google Jobs, as well as people that are skilled in particular kinds of staffing. And so don't expect you to really look at or focus on all the different names I have here, but I just wanted to really show you the two axes. On the left-hand side, it's on-site versus remote. And this chart actually happened before COVID, where there was a lot more on-site talent. But that's going to come back again with restaurants and construction and things like that. And there are all kinds of platforms that help people post jobs and find talent for jobs, whether it's on-site or remote. And then on the lower axis, it's skill. At the left-hand side, it's lower skill. Right-hand side is higher skill. And there's all kinds of platforms that are anywhere from the low to high. And some of the most popular platforms that you've heard about are Fiverr and Upwork. Well, Fiverr and Upwork are all remote, but Fiverr is really at the low end of the skill basis. So if you're going to Fiverr for a freelancer, you're going for somebody that's lower skilled, lower priced, and probably going to deliver lower value, and you're probably going to have to work harder to manage that person. All things that are important in considerations for getting value for your money. Upwork's kind of in between. They're the biggest gorilla out there in terms of the volume of talent, but for small and mid-sized businesses, you have to do all of the work, and that can be pretty overwhelming. And really, being a power user of Upwork 10 years ago was really what inspired me to build Results Resourcing, because I wanted to be the person that takes the work off your hands, because I know how to do it and I know how to get the most out of talent. And that's where you see Results Resourcing. We focus on higher skill jobs, and we're all remote, but we do a lot of the work for you. So these are all options for you. If you want to spend your time and you feel that the opportunity cost isn't high to go do this work yourself, go for it. But there's just so many options out there that you can't be expert in them all. And this just is a framework for thinking, if nothing else. But the next slide really talks a little more specifically about online freelance platforms that are good for small business. And results resourcing is all about, we're freelance experts and we're designed for small business because we do the work for you. We've automated how to do the work for you, but we've also provided a recruiter for every single job. So a human being is involved in helping you define what you need, finding the talent for you. We provide custom talent pools with guarantees for the first 30 days of a job that we've made the right match for you. And then we have human support. And what's contrasts that to Upwork and Fiverr, they're freelance work experts also, absolutely. Tons of jobs, tons of freelancers, but they don't do anything else for you. And so it goes back to the decision about how do you want to spend your time. You can do it yourself hire on these platforms, but it's really, is that the best use of your time? And then frankly, my favorite column is the next one. You're a well-meaning friend. It goes back to the email that I shared with you. I mean, it's great to ask your friend, and I'm sure they want to help, but do they really understand your business and all the things you need to think about in terms of growing and scaling your business financially as well as your impact? And those are all parts of the important parts of this decision making that you need to think about. So let me close, or Terri might want to have a couple of comments. I always go too fast when we're talking. So
yeah, the only thing I would like to say, I mean, we are, with our portfolio, we are a huge procurer of talent, and we outsource probably 65 to 70% of the staff that we have is outsourced for a variety of reasons. And, there is a place for Fiverr and Upwork, as Elizabeth would say. But when I want to go to results resourcing, there's three things that usually come to mind. One is that's a specialty role, and I can't afford to fail. And I've had that happen a couple of times where it's like, we can't get this wrong, and I need somebody that really, really knows how to get them. So that's one scenario. Secondly is I need a high touch, high value resource, still somebody that's affordable, because, we're large enough that we need lots of talent, but we're small enough that we need it to be affordable. And so I don't want to, go out there on that fishing expedition. I really would like help with that, and somebody that really knows how to recruit talent. And the third is when I just don't have the time. And that notion of that opportunity cost, when you're in that get the work, do the work, and you're trying to get through launch, or you're in shape and you just flat out don't have the time. And I know I frequently talk to the members that are in shape and build and evolve, and the number one resource that is the most scarce is not cash, it's time. And that is, any of those three things exist, results resourcing, and we've had great success with them. Any of those three scenarios exist, results resourcing is better than an Upwork or a Fiverr, and certainly better than your well-meaning friend.
Oh, thank you, Terri. So the last two quick slides are really about what we do, and we're all about vetted freelance talent, which can include, the freelance contractors, in ShiftCo, because we're really the best of both worlds, and that helps freelancers too, because we care about your success, because our success is riding on the freelancer's success. So quality is really, really important. And so we're really, what we believe, the best of both worlds. We're humans and technology together. And so if you've ever been on Fiverr, or Upwork, or any of these job search platforms, the old way is really, you search endlessly. You fill out your form to say what you need. It matches with a random assortment of people that match whatever you put into your job description. So it goes back to the less accurate that is, the less accurate the matches are going to be. And then you've got to do all the work to find, vet, and go through request proposals. And really at the end of the day, these are other people's words, not mine. You make a best guess. and hopefully it works, but a lot of times it doesn't. And we get a lot of people that have tried and then come to us because our way is we first of all help you build your job description. So it's really clear and we understand what skills you need and your top priorities. And then our system matches with people that are already on our platform, as well as we actually proactively also recruit on LinkedIn. So we're always looking for not just only people on our platform, but also who's really qualified out there that will join our platform and propose on your job. And then we guarantee the success of the job for the first 30 days. We put our money where our mouth is in terms of talent. And we also, if I didn't mention it before, give you choices. So we don't just tell you one person can do your job. We give you 3 people that can do your job, and you can see them, you can see their profiles, you can see their proposals, and you can also interview them before you actually make a hiring decision. And then you do hire as a client on our platform. And we manage the payment administration and the 1099 administration. So we really are a concierge A to Z service, helping our clients scale their businesses with vetted virtual freelance talent. So as Terri helped me come up with that line, we are the freelance platform that comes with your own recruiter. So this is how it works for ShiftGo and our partnership. To get started, we have a partnership with ShiftGo. This is a screenshot of the client registration, and there's also another one for freelancer registration. But it's really our 2-minute video that describes what we do and what's unique about it. And then you really just sign up on the platform, and you can see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, the ShiftGo affiliate code gets pre-populated by using the link. And so when you see this, when you go to the partner page on ShiftGo, you'll see the link to sign up as a client or sign up as a freelancer. And I'm talking about the client side here, but it's similar on the freelancer side. But you basically will have a choice to either take our online job survey yourself, which is, we've created a survey that walks you through the thought process of asking for freelance talent for whatever work you need done, or you could click a button and it will set up a consult and a human being will do it with you. I do many of them myself. I really enjoy it and help people understand a lot of the things I've talked about today, in this workshop. You do pay us a small talent curation fee. It's generally less than $1,000, depending on what you're looking for. A virtual assistant costs less than somebody that's going to build you a WordPress website. So it's scaled based on the difficulty of the job factor. But as Terri said before, there's a 10% discount that ShiftGo members get and that ShiftGo is passing on to you. And that's a discount on that talent curation fee. In exchange, in about 3 weeks, you get a talent pool of 3 vetted candidates that we found, vetted, interviewed for you, and are basically saying, hey, these are the people we think can do work for you, and we're going to guarantee your choice for the first 30 days. You have the chance to interview them yourself and make a decision, and you hire through our platform, and we manage the payment and 1099 administration for you. So that, in a nutshell, is how the process works and our partnership with ShiftGo. So at the end of the day, we're happy to do a little Q&A. The next slide just speaks to the #1 problem that small business has in hiring, and that's finding qualified, flexible workers. And that's what we do for you. So the next slide finally is Q&A. Happy to take whatever questions you might have, and then also offer a free talent strategy consult, 30 minutes. I'm just here to help you think more about what we've talked about today and how to apply it to your business. And if it involves hiring a freelancer from Results Resourcing, great, but happy to talk to you about developing an agile talent strategy in general, if that's where you are at. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Anybody have questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but that was super helpful, Elizabeth, to get an idea of all the different types of things that we can outsource. I keep getting people, VAs and other people who keep coming to me, and I keep saying, go check out Results Resourcing. So it's really helpful to know all the different avenues. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Well, there are a lot of options, and it's only going to continue to expand, because you know, the world is really changing, and there's a certain amount of expertise that's just required to keep up with it. So thank you.
Yeah, and you know, and I know a lot of people in the corporate work field that, you know, they're brilliant and they're specialists, and I keep telling them, like, you know, freelancing is a really great way to get started. So it's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing as well, because we get a number of people that are kind of in transition, and one of the things we always look for is that a permanent change that person wants to make? Because if they're just in between jobs, that's often not that wouldn't be somebody we personally would refer, because you don't want somebody that's doing this until they find a job. You're looking for a real team member. And so more and more freelancers we look for professional freelancers. So many of them have LLCs. That's frankly another really good thing about freelancers is they're business owners. I mean, they're looking at their bottom line. They're looking at how they spend their time. And so you're getting somebody that's very focused on producing results for you, because that's who they are. They're entrepreneurs. And I like that, frankly, and because we frankly get a number of people that are leaving corporate, but you know what? They have never gotten a client. They have never managed a client. They might be good at their little piece of the world in the corporate world, but they don't know how to run a business. And so, you know, that's always a bit of a conversation. And I have partners with people, frankly, that help people make that transition. And what does it take to be great at branding? And now you want to go into business for yourself. You know, what does it take to set up a branding business? You know, where you can really help small and mid-sized clients. So it's a really interesting time as people are shifting from corporate because they either have to or because they choose to.
Thanks for the clarity.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Elizabeth? Well, Elizabeth, I appreciate you doing this session. We are going to load this in the Shift Core as a resource for members because the training was so valuable. And whether you're looking for a freelance resource or you want to put your services on the platform, I highly recommend it. It's a great experience on both sides of that equation.
Well, thank you so much. It was an honor to be part of ShiftCo and an honor to share with everybody today what I've learned over the past 6 or 7 years of building results resourcing and being on my own path at ShiftCo and benefiting greatly from it. It's really wonderful to contribute as a member and as a partner to ShiftCo. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.